You didn't answer my question.
Welcome. You are watching Line Screw 1. Well, hello tubers, hope you're doing well wherever you are. It's another foggy day here in British Columbia. But hey, it's better than snow, so I'll take it. So let's talk about the most important thing that's going on right here in Canada right now, and that's the big trucker protest heading to Ottawa. We've seen it before with many other issues of people going to Ottawa to protest things. I'm a bit concerned though that it may not be as effective unless they're a little more targeted about those idiots in Ottawa, because they're the source of the problem. Keep in mind, truckers deserve a lot of respect, because everything that you have in your house, including the device you're watching this video on, was brought to you by a trucker. Truckers bring everything we need to wherever we need it, so cut them a break. And if you don't respect truckers, well, you don't respect anything. So I'm going to give you the update of what's going on here so that you can decide for yourself, because there's a lot to unpack that's going on. And many of you people, I've noticed, have grabbed onto the story in Europe, especially the United Kingdom, and in the United States. Because many of you don't get Canadian media and you don't live in Canada, I'm going to give you the info and you can decide for yourself what to think about this. At the crux of the matter here is the fact that Canada is now requiring even essential service providers like truckers to be fully vaccinated to enter into Canada. And if they're not, they have to quarantine for 14 days. It's a big hassle. I get it. It's something that we got to really take a look at doing away with, because we all have to get on with our life at some point. We've been doing this for almost 2 years, and you know, it's got to come to an end at some point. Now, the biggest enemy isn't necessarily the Canadian government here, because I'm going to tell you what the United States has done. A Canadian trucker typically picks up his truck in Canada, drives to the United States or Mexico to pick up their goodies, and brings it back to Canada. Sleepy Joe Biden has, in fact, invoked the requirement of vaccines on January 22nd. So a trucker can't even go to the United States to pick up their produce or whatever goods they're picking up.
Essential workers who are not U.S. citizens will have to show proof that they're fully vaccinated when coming through a port of entry. Previously, it was only non-essential travelers.
So on the face of it, Sleepy Joe Biden is the bigger problem. So what can a trucker do if he can't even enter the United States unless he's vaxxed? Well, he obviously can't even worry about getting back into Canada. So I don't understand what the protest in Ottawa is going to do for that, because getting rid of the 14-day quarantine, which could be a good idea, isn't going to do anything unless they tackle Sleepy Joe Biden and his crazy policy of vaccinations. I mean, the United States tourism industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And how many people are not coming to the United States now because of all the restrictions? It's a lot of people and it's a lot of money. And something's got to be done about that. And for all the other restrictions that are happening, say in Canada, well, here's the deal, folks. Many Americans think that Canada has this one healthcare system. In fact, it's not that way at all. We have 13 healthcare systems. Each province and territory administers their own independent healthcare system, and vis-a-vis introduce their own restrictions. So those are all made on a provincial and territorial level. It's not done by Ottawa. Ottawa does control that border and controls that vaccination rule and the 14-day quarantine rule, which is now in place. An interesting recent development is the $4.5 million that has been raised on the GoFundMe website to help the truckers. Strangely enough, that money has now been seized and is being held by GoFundMe, awaiting to decide where that money is going to go. Very strange how that suddenly happened. I don't know who's behind it, but it's a very interesting development that you need to know about. On top of this is another interesting free speech development that has occurred with a police officer in Durham. Now, this fellow officer, spoke in uniform in support of the truckers. Good for her to express her opinion publicly, but she's in a heap of trouble for doing so.
Hey there. So I'm Constable Erin Howard, coming to you from Ontario, Canada. I really wanted to give a shout out to all the truckers. I think what you guys are doing is incredible. You're fighting for our rights and freedoms.
Now, I have experienced this before since I have worked for the evil Canadian governments before, and they don't like free speech.
What are Durham Regional Police Service's thoughts on Constable Erin Howard's Twitter video regarding the truck convoy?
All I can say really is we're looking into the matter now. Her views do not, and expressed in that video, don't represent the views and opinions of the Durham Regional Police Service.
I even recall in my own personal life when I did work for the government, if I posted something to social media they didn't like, I'd get a phone call. Yeah, they do that.
As for whether Constable Howard will face suspension or any other consequences, Durham Regional Police wouldn't say, adding that this is an internal matter.
I guess the answer here is to get more police officers to speak their mind on social media, and they can't discipline them all if they actually do this. You know, police officers live in fear today of, you know, the liberals and the defunding of the police programs and all that kind of jazz. So, you know, police tend to fear their employers more than they fear anybody else. You know, they do have boat payments, children in colleges, and ex-wives to feed. So I get it. They're afraid. But good for this police officer for speaking out. I wish there were more police officers who had the courage to speak their mind on whatever issue they wish to speak about. So you put your comment down below on what you think about the Durham police officer supporting the truckers. And on the political front, our opposition leader right now, Mr. O'Toole, the conservative leader, he's a piece of work. I do know somebody that worked with him in the Canadian military who knew him quite well. I won't mention who that person is because they still work for the military. They like to call him the Tool because he is a tool. Hey, he couldn't even get elected the last time, and he needs to step aside if there's ever going to be another Canadian conservative government elected in the near future. So, hey, Mr. Tool, quit being a tool, step aside, let somebody else take the reins. Look, the Tool can't even answer a damn question of whether he actually supports the truckers or not.
Do you support the convoy, its goals, its objectives, even though the Canadian Trucking Alliance says it could be disruptive? And to follow, again, repeat Louis' question, will you meet with them when they come to Ottawa?
We've been talking to the Canadian Truckers Alliance, Glenn, for several months. We've seen a crisis in the supply chain coming for several months.
You didn't answer my question about
yes, I did, Glenn.
You didn't say whether you
Vaccines are a critical tool.
You didn't say whether you meet with them.
That's the kind of jerk he is. He's playing both ends against the middle. Of course, I vote further to the right than Mr. O'Toole. Personally, I think the truckers should target political elected officials in the federal government and park their rigs in front of their house with the engines idling 24/7. That might do something. It might get their attention. Perhaps blockading all their critical services. That might do something. The only thing the truckers need to be careful of is you don't want to start blocking highways where ambulances and baby formula won't get through, because as soon as you start hurting the innocent folks, you're going to lose a little bit of political clout. So I'm thinking they need to up the game, start personally targeting these elected officials, make it personal. Yeah, why not? If they're going to affect their livelihood, well, maybe start affecting the political people's livelihood and making their life a little bit miserable in some fashion, peacefully, of course, and maybe we'll see some results. Strangely enough, I did look online, and I don't see a lot of truckers heading to Washington, D.C. right now, which is actually where a lot of the truckers need to be headed. I know after that January 6th thing, everybody's afraid of being labeled something or another, but honestly, if Sleepy Joe don't open the borders to the Canadian truckers, it don't matter what happens up here. We can change whatever rules and even get rid of the 14-day quarantine. So how do the truckers even get into the United States to bring back food, services, and other goods back to Canada if they're not allowed into the US of A? I don't get it.
Look, Canada brought in its vaccine mandate for truckers crossing the border on January 15th, so this past Saturday. On January 22nd, this coming Saturday, the American administration brings in their own.
So put your comments down below on what you think of what is going on here with this truckers protest, and I guess we're going to find out in the next few days on what's really going to happen and if we're going to see any results. But personally, I think Sleepy Joe's got to be targeted a bit here, because he's actually the crux of the matter here. Because, like I said, don't matter what we do here with our rules coming back to Canada, if they can't even enter the US of A, what are these truckers going to do? That's just my opinion, and I hope the truckers ramp it up and do something very creative. Rather than just rallying to Ottawa, I think targeting some politicians specifically is going to have more results. That's just my opinion. In the meantime, folks, put your comments down below. I'll talk to you soon. Over and out.
The Conservative Party leader was asked whether he would meet with truckers when they arrived on Parliament Hill, but didn't answer the question. The new measures ultimately mean up to 26,000 fewer truck drivers are able to cross the border.
I got you, I got you, I got you.